undertake a thorough exploration of work or published work so that we can identify relevant information for a particular topic. And the reason we do it is we want to identify all existing information sources that are relevant to that topic that we are interested in. And we use a systematic approach so that there's no bias in this process, and we can identify all relevant material, not just some. So how do we conduct a literature search? From the audience, what do you think we do first? We do what? A review, like you read a couple of articles to figure out something about the topic, yeah? Next? Yeah. Next step. She says we do a little bit of a reading. Before we do the literature search. Okay. We define our topic. Okay, that's a good one. You say we define our topic first. Another one? Determine the search terms. Next? PICO. What am I? We should just go straight to the practical. I think the team has it. Define your research question. Choose your search terms. Know where you're going to search. Compile your search strategy. You run your search, and you document the process. But first, you mentioned something important. Read a little bit around the topic. Pick one or two key articles first. You understand it, know the key terms, then you can go ahead and define your research question, your search terms, all of that. So she had leakage, so we start with our background reading. Then we develop the research question, and Mutono has shown us very many ways of defining your research question. But it's also important during a search, because during the search, we'll be using these terms, these parts of the research question to guide our search. So patients, this one we're looking at the safety of influenza vaccine amongst adults. So the P, the population was adults. The intervention was influenza vaccine. The comparator, in this case, we had none. And the outcome we're looking for is safety. Keep in mind, if you don't have a clear question, you're not going to get a useful answer. So we have to really define our research question so that it can help us with our search strategy. Now, when we're doing a search, we can use PICO, but some people add T, which is a time frame, and S, which is a study design. So if we wanted to limit ourselves to, let's say, clinical trials, we'd put it here, or economic evaluations, we'll put it here. Time frame, there's a way you can say, I don't want anything before 1990 or something like that. So here's an example. Please help me define the PICO for this. I want to know if mobile health technology interventions are more effective in managing patients with type 1 or type 2 diabetes than inpatient care. What is the patient problem or population? Great. The intervention? Mobile health technology. Dr. Mecca is just tick, 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 tick. Comparator? Huh? In-person care, and the outcome? Yeah, so whatever that would be, yeah, effective, whether it's sugar control, whatever. Yeah, so very correct. So sometimes this outcome, we don't necessarily have to include it in the search terms, but then now when we're reviewing the article, maybe you can put it in your inclusion criteria. Do they have data on outcome? And now you can define your outcome, whether it's sugar control, whether it's death, whether it's admission, whatever it is. So now, when we are conducting a literature search, we must keep in mind that there are alternative words we can use or related terms. So instead of stroke, what else could we look for? Stroke. Instead of the word stroke, other people may write it as what? CVA, cerebrovascular accident. Emergency room, they say that in America, but us, what do we say? We say casualty. So, okay, some people say A&D, very good. Hospital. And pregnancy. That one I also. Now I know that one. Gravid, yes. Is it? Oh, pregnant, childbearing. It's okay. So we keep that in mind. So now for this one, that question that we came up with, could we find synonyms for, let's say, patient with diabetes? What else could we say? Somebody would say DM, diabetes mellitus. Mobile health technology. Telemedicine, maybe somebody will say. In-person care. Outpatient, inpatient. Effectiveness in managing diabetes, we said that one, we'll leave it for now, but. So now we see very, as you said, instead of saying patients with diabetes, we could have said DM, type 1 diabetes, type 2. Instead of mobile health technology, we could have said telemedicine, mHealth, mobile health, smartphone. All of that is a possibility when you're doing your search. And then the comparator was in-person care, clinic visit, in-person. All of this is a possibility. So now the limits we talked about before. Sometimes you can do it PICO-ST, so it's the type of study and the time frame. But now we can also say what is our information source. We can say our study subjects, whether it's humans or animals. For us, it's going to be humans. The region, we can restrict it. Language, we can also restrict. So there is a bias in restricting language, but then in the end, we have to be practical. Sometimes we don't have Portuguese speakers, French speakers, so in the end, we just focus on English. But now with Google Translate, at least the abstract you can translate it into English and see if this was a really important paper, maybe you should take the time to find out what it has. So these are the databases we can look at. Most of us know PubMed, but also if you're looking for intervention studies, you can look at Cochrane Library, also for systematic reviews. Economic evaluations, these are the databases that you should, can't see. These are the databases that you should use, but there are so many. The practical we'll do is on PubMed, but once you understand the method of doing the literature search, it doesn't really matter which database you use, it's about the same. So these are other databases that you can also use. It will be provided to you in the PowerPoints. So we begin the search in each database because we have to search more than one database. We evaluate and record our results. We review our search plan because sometimes you may search, you find you're not getting anything. So you say, maybe I was too restrictive, so I need to modify my search term. So don't be afraid to review your search strategy. Then you continue, document the process. It's important for you to document and then examine the titles and abstracts for relevance. If they are, you also document the outcome. And this is an example. So if you were searching PubMed on 25th August of this month, these are the search terms you used. You searched the title, abstract, you looked for influenza or flu-like illness or pneumonia or respiratory illness. Then you looked for influenza. We're looking at influenza in Kenya. You put your inclusion and exclusion criteria. Maybe it was just one person who was doing the search. So we found on PubMed, when we use these search terms, we got 181 studies. After we screened title and abstracts, we found that only 35 were relevant. And then we tried to get them in full text, and we found only 10 were relevant. And a reference manager helps you keep track, because this here, we've used a reference manager so that when you look at the bottom of the document, you can actually see what reference 1 to 35 was. So you see, even somebody who's repeating it, you expect them to get the same results. Yeah. So just to let us know, we talked about keywords in the subject. Make sure you're using them. Typically, we should use the advanced option. If we are doing a proper search, let's not just type the normal search. Try and look for the advanced button. It gives you more flexibility. We're going to use these Boolean terms. Typically, we'll use and. We're going to practice that. So, and or. So if we say and, A and B, we're taking everything here and everything here. Agreed? But, no, sorry. A and B, we are taking? No. I want the part in blue. Something that has both the terms. So if the paper only mentions A or it only mentions B, I'm not interested. I want them, if it only mentions influenza, I'm not interested. If it only mentions Kenya, I'm not interested. But if it mentions influenza and Kenya, then I'm interested. So it's this. But A or B, I'm saying whether it says pneumonia, whether it says influenza, or influenza-like illness, I want those. Yeah. Typically, we don't use not. I think the librarians, they're the ones who use not. Because when you say not, you see these A's that are here, you're also excluding them. So in our setting, I don't think we'll be using not. One thing we should take note of, it's better when you do single searches and then you combine them. This is an example of a search for safety of influenza vaccine amongst pregnant women. So we searched influenza vaccine as a text search, just general. Influenza vaccine as a mesh subject heading. We'll talk about what that is. Then we combined them. So we are looking for anything that's 1 or 2. Yeah? So we combined it into number 3 to take care of influenza vaccine. So now pregnant women, remember we could have pregnant women or childbearing or I don't know, whatever it is. We do those searches and then we combine them here in number 6. I've combined 4 or 5. And then we look at safety, then combine it 7 or 8. Then my final search is I'll take search number 3. I want something that has such things for search number 3 with the items in search number 6. And the items in search number 9. You see, so now I'm combining that I want papers that cover influenza vaccine, also have something to do with pregnancy, and also have something to do with safety. And the good thing about doing this is, if you made an error somewhere, you can quickly fix it, and then now come and recombine. But sometimes when you make your search too long, trying to figure out where you made an error is a bit difficult. So it's better to do single searches, and then combine them, which we are going to do. We avoid the, for, of, we avoid those terms. We try and just stick to the key thing, not mortality of mothers, maternal mortality. Yeah? Keep in mind that there is UK and US spelling, so sometimes you have to keep that in mind. But we can use truncation, so to help us with search term. You know, somebody can say teenager, teenagers, teens, and you might not want to do all of those searches, but if you do teen and this star, it will give you all of those. Yeah? And then if you want words close together, you put them in quotation marks. There's something called proximity searching. So if in your title, let's say we are looking for rationing healthcare, and if we do this title and then this squiggle line 2, it means that there are a maximum of 2 words in between rationing and healthcare. So if we had just done rationing healthcare, it may just give us this first one. But when we add this, it allows us to have healthcare rationing It allows us to have rationing in controlling healthcare. You see how it's kind of opened it up for us, yeah. And these are just more examples of how, when you use that term, this is what we can get, yeah? All these different versions of the term, all of these papers. So we talked about this wildcard here. So you see, by using organi, and then we put that, we have organization with a Z. It retrieved for us organizations with an S at the end. It retrieved for us organizations with S in the middle instead of Z. You see? So we didn't have to write organization with a Z, then organization with an S. Yeah? By putting that wildcard, it did it for us. Now this mesh terms, so mesh terms is almost like you're classifying the topic of that paper. So let's say you're looking at oxytocin, and you say it's used in, okay, so postpartum hemorrhage. So there could be a subject called postpartum hemorrhage. So normally when a paper is published, there are people who now go through the content of the paper and classify it and say, this paper talks about postpartum hemorrhage, it talks about this, so it's been put under particular headings. So typically when we are searching, we should search the term itself as text searches, just text word, but also search it as a mesh term. Because sometimes mesh helps us pick papers that maybe we were not going to find through the other mechanism. So for example, if you use a mesh term of telemedicine, any paper that had anything to do with mobile health, mHealth, telehealth, eHealth, you would pick it up. So it kind of helps you instead of you having to do this. But you still have to do this. Why? Because it's a human who classifies a paper under a mesh term. They could make an error. And also, it takes some time before, after a paper is published for it to be given its mesh term. So if you only used mesh term, the more recent papers you'd miss out on. And if somebody made an error in classifying that paper, you'd also miss out on it. So don't just use mesh terms, also use the text words as well. Now, when you look at a mesh term, you can, like here is maternal mortality. You could focus on, if we're talking about oxytocin, maybe we could focus on therapy, and then now it would help restrict that mesh term. So we are not getting everything on maternal mortality. So they're not telling us about the history of it, classification. No, as we are interested in like therapy or drugs that can be used to prevent maternal mortality. So in summary, this is what we are hoping to achieve, and this is what we are going to do in the next couple of minutes. If you don't have a laptop, we can use the screens in front of you. Just if you can turn them on. Oh, one more thing. Okay. So once you've done your literature search, you've identified your papers, you need to extract data from those papers, and we'll use a data extraction tool. You can put it, let's say, on Excel or Microsoft Word. And one thing we should keep in mind is pilot it first, because you'll do it, and then you'll realize, I forgot to put this column. I think this would be important information to have. So just like we practiced before, we can practice now. Like once you've got the papers, you try put it in the tool, see if the tool is working for you. If it isn't, you modify it, then you continue with the rest. It's better when you have two people do it, because we are humans, we can make errors. So in general, when you're extracting the data, you'll want to put the author, the year of publication, and key characteristics that you're looking at. If you want, if it's a clinical trial, you want to say, was it a cluster randomized? Was it individually randomized? All of that. You want to, if there was a control, let's say you're looking at a medication, let's say you can say control, let's say it was a placebo, or let's say the control was standard of care or something like that. That information you'd want to put it down in your data extraction form. So that's it for the theory part. So now we'll go on to the practical of searching onto PubMed. So if you can just go to PubMed. Does somebody have a particular question they would want us to practice a session? If not, me, I have my question, but you can also use a question that you have. Any question? Okay, so Tabitha has a question. Tabitha, what's your question? What about Mpox? Or do you need the password for internet? Let me just quickly type it. Password DC training, but this is in small. And then password DC training. Okay. Tabitha, what's your question on Mpox? Oh, okay. She's changed this. Okay. Sawa. So since she doesn't have one, last time when we did this training, the question that was brought up is the use of monoclonal antibodies to treat patients with COVID-19. And the monoclonal antibody they were looking at is tocilizumab. I'll write it. So clinicians wanted to find out, we have these patients with severe COVID, severe pneumonia. If we give them tocilizumab, will they do better? Yeah. So the P is what? Okay. So we can say COVID-19 patients, yeah. We can say SARS-CoV-2 or, okay, patients with COVID, I think. Okay. What is the intervention? Able get that spelling? You've got it? Yeah. Hey, I forgot I'm with the pharmacist. Okay. And then comparator. This one we didn't have because maybe it was standard of care. Yeah, standard of care. And then the outcome. Effective management, okay. But in this case, we won't put the O like we did last time. So we'll just focus on the PIC without the O. As study type, but which is the best study type to look at effectiveness of an intervention? Huh? A clinical trial, yeah? So our study, an RCT, yeah? And our time frame, it has to be 2020 and after, yeah? It can't be before then. So are we all on PubMed? So we all go here. Let us start. My thing is not clear. How do I clear it? So are we all together? I went to PubMed here. And I clicked on advanced. Are we all there? I need to delete these ones. Okay. So we're all there. So now the first thing, we said our population is people with COVID. COVID patients. So for now, can we put here COVID? In the title or abstract, we are looking for COVID-19. We add it there. It's there. We are looking for SARS-CoV-2. Isn't that another way somebody can call COVID? Yeah. But now we're using and, or not. What are we using? Or. Then now we want the mesh term. Let's see if there's a mesh term for COVID. No, there's none, but I think there's one for SARS-CoV. No? Why isn't it showing? Yeah. Yeah. Why is it refusing? So it doesn't look like there's a mesh term for SARS-CoV because it should just automatically fill. Mesh term, COVID. Yeah, so it doesn't look like there is. SARS coronavirus. I'm worried about using this because this is more than SARS-CoV-2 because there was the SARS coronavirus 1. So it may be captured in that. So let's just leave it as COVID-19 in the title or abstract, or SARS-CoV-2 in the title or abstract. Okay, so now we press the search button. It brings us this. We go back to advanced. So you see papers that have COVID-19 or SARS-CoV-2 in the title or abstract are 400,000. Yeah? We're together? Do we all have this 416? 192. Yeah, I clicked search. So you go back to advanced, let's see. You see you didn't do title abstracts. So first you have to click here. You pick title abstracts. Then you type here COVID-19. Yeah, we have to use.
Mine showing and here, and I clicked on. Oh no, at some point it should be one or the other.
You must have clicked Nini. Yeah, so let's see. Let's delete that. Yes, okay, so you go to title abstracts. You can type your COVID-19.
COVID-19.
Then press add. Then title abstract, then SARS-CoV-2. You can type SARS, then dash, CoV, then dash 2. And you've pressed OR, yeah. Then, great, yeah. Then now you search it.
Yeah, not even put the titles for So that's search.
So now you search. Then come back here to advanced. Yeah.
416.
416. So we are together. Mutono, you.
19. I ended something here.
Ah, okay. It's good. Okay. Sawa. So, okay, so the other thing we looked at, we said we want to look at, what's that thing? Okay. So we are looking something in the title or abstract called tocilizumab. Title abstract, tocilizumab. Are we together? We are now doing a new search. Remember, we are breaking down our searches. So we've already done the one for COVID. Now we are on the intervention. So I typed tocilizumab.
That's the title.
Title abstract, yeah. You're saying I wait?
No?
Where are you?
No, see, I'm waiting to go. I was waiting. I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, see easy.
Yeah, but you see your SARS-CoV-2, you didn't put dashes, so it's
When
okay.
you put a dash, it gives you slightly different.
But
Yes.
you have of having more.
So,
Like me, half of
You are 44 with a dash. Go like a dash.
Nimeka.
Usipoweka a dash inaleta 433. So it's
yeah, it's okay, yeah. But ideally, we could have done with the dash, without the dash,
Yeah.
all those. So we would have done or COVID-19 without dash, or
ilete
so
zote.
yeah. But for the purpose of this practical, we're just doing a few. But these ors, they could be 10, 15 different versions. Yeah.